Hey, welcome back, Figurama. Today, we have a special one. We have my first ever Figma figure. I've never bought a Figma figure. I've never purchased a Figma figure before. I don't really buy imports. This is my first one. I found it at a local auction site for a really good price. So I had to get it because Ghost in the Shell is one of my absolute childhood favorite. That was one of my formative animes mangas when I was younger. Ghost in the Shell and Akira, those are my top two of all time. I adore them. I adore the comic books, the original animated movie for Ghost in the Shell, obviously the animated movie for Akira. I love that too. So Ghost in the Shell has a super special place in my heart. And like I said, this is this isn't my first Figma. This isn't my first Figma. Get my first one. Here's my first one right here. This is Ryoko from Kill la Kill. And if you ever thought about buying a bootleg before, don't buy a bootleg Figma, because I thought I was gonna save a little money by buying one, and literally this is what came in the mail from AliExpress. So I bought a bootleg one because a real one is very expensive, and literally completely fallen apart with basic, like, I was not rough on this figure whatsoever. I was barely doop in the arm, snapped in half, and everything else. So this is my first bootleg Figma. So I would suggest not buying bootleg Figma figures from AliExpress. But anyways, back to the figure. So this is Major Kusanagi Makoto, which is the main character of Ghost in the Shell. However, this version is the S.A.C version, S.A.C, Standalone Complex, which is sort of the second big series. I believe they had like 2 seasons of shows, and they had a couple movies, like 3 or 4, maybe 2 or 3 OVAs movies, not like theatrical releases or anything like that. And so this is a very specific costume version, because even in Standalone Complex, she didn't have this costume very much. The first time I ever saw this exact costume was season 2, episode 3. So not until the second season, episode 3. And now I'm not a Standalone Complex expert. I am an expert on the old manga, the original manga, and the original cartoon anime movie. But Standalone Complex, I'll be quite honest, I don't know anything about Standalone Complex. I have watched it after I bought this figure. I did start watching it, so I am going through it right now. And so obviously I did look for the costume. That's what I do on this channel. That's what I do. So anyways, first Figma. So kind of a plain box. I like how they number them, I guess, if you're a completionist collector. This is number 237, and it is Kusanagi Makoto S.A.C version. Ghost in the Shell, Standalone Complex. Side of the box has a little action shot right there. Other side has another little, action shot right there. Sweeping hair in this one. I really like that. And there's a weird accessory in here. I'm not quite sure what that's for. I'm not quite sure why that's different than that, but I guess we'll see. More action shots on the bottom. Looks very good. This was originally priced $94.99. I got it way cheaper than that. Top. More shot. So the same shot as the bottom, same shot as the bottom. And then back. Obviously back you have, Japanese, because it's from Japan, obviously. Some of the action poses right there. And that's it. And it's already open. I bought it used, so it's already open, but I did check it out. It does have everything in there. So, I don't know, should be complete. She does come with an instruction, a quick instruction, sheet. There's all the accessories right there, some instructions right here on how to change parts of her, and then English on the back. I don't know, it's my first Figma. I didn't know Figmas came with, a plastic bag to store everything in, but I guess that's pretty neat. All right, so right off the bat, I noticed typically why I don't collect imports, especially Figma, SH Figure Art, stuff like that, is the scale is a little small for me. I'm only mainly like a 6-inch or above collector. And obviously I do have some smaller stuff in my collection. When I was a kid, G.I. Joe was my favorite line, 3.75 inch figures or whatever. But now that I'm a collector nowadays, I tend to not like smaller figures, and that's why I've never really gotten into imports, Figmas, and stuff like that. I do have this, and I do have an SH Figuarts Wonder Woman, because I love Wonder Woman so much. And the scale is definitely smaller, so I mean, however, having said that, the big first impression here of this figure is it's super well made. I especially like how sort of glossy this jacket is. The arms are hard, they're hard plastic, but this piece right here is actually semi-flexible, and they really match the sort of shininess and the color between the two different, you know, materials, I guess you could say. And it looks really good because, you know, it looks like I would imagine it. Like, you know, a lot of the figures and stuff I collect have matte textures on them, and I like matte textures, makes it look more realistic and stuff. The pants too, the pants are shiny, just like the jacket upstairs. But you know, the skin in this, I don't know, body covering right here in the middle, this bodysuit in the middle, are not shiny, so it was done intentionally, right? It's not just shiny everything, all shiny all day long. And so I definitely dig the look of it, the cohesiveness of it. I definitely love it. And she's got that, her signature sort of hairstyle right there with her hair color too. So she is undeniably Makoto. So let's go over the body real quick again. So articulation is pretty darn smooth. It's not tight. There's no bending joints or anything. I'm surprised how sort of smooth it is. And you can see sort of the ball joints on the elbows. So they're from the, you know, it's not like, you know, Rebel Tech, Amazing Yamaguchi or anything, but some of these figures do use the ball joints in the elbows and the knees too. That's not necessarily, well, there is a ball joint up there too, but I'm surprised at how smooth and tight the joints are. They're not all floppy like my bootleg Figma right here. My disembodied body right here was all floppy and stuff. This actually feels really good. It's really nice. It's really firm, but super, super smooth. I'm very impressed. Very impressed. Very impressed with the articulation thus far. And the stylings of the body, I already went over. I like the costume. I like the character. I love the character. And this costume definitely fits her aesthetic from Standalone Complex, and it looks just like that episode. Going around to the back, you can even see some small details right there. Like you could see some of, you know, the circuitry coming up on her neck right there, which you might not even normally see. So that's a nice touch right there. I wonder what's under this jacket. I don't know. I'm not gonna find out. But she's a very, very, very good looking figure, and the articulation moves really, really well. She even there's a ball joint on the ankle too, to go anywhere you want. And there's even toe articulation too on a smaller figure. That's pretty impressive. And so let's rip the band-aid off. The first accessory we'll look at is the chest piece. So the only, I didn't know why there would be two in there. The only difference with being still trying to be family friendly here. The only difference is this chest is sort of scrunched more together. I don't know. The way I think, like these arms, when you put them together, it can actually pop this chest off accidentally, which happened in posing. So it pops that off. So if you put this one on, I think it's for posing purposes. Like if you want to get a pose where the arms are maybe, you know, closer together, it just pops right in there, by the way. If the arms are maybe closer together, then that's what that's for. But I mean, you want this figure, you can do whatever you want with it, okay? Whatever makes you happy. You can just leave it. You can leave them both off, just like that if you want to. That's a look for sure. So, I mean, it's a cool accessory. I guess it's just for aesthetic, for some poses and stuff, but you know, it's there. And so let's keep going on the head. So this is her sort of classic hairstyle a little bit from the first couple shows, but we did see this shot on the box, the sweeping hair right here. And so obviously there's no back on here, so I'm gonna assume this just pops off on the front. Oh my goodness, that's terrifying. And that's when you switch out the face plates too. So let's keep this faceplate on for now. Let's just switch the hair and see what it looks like. It pops right on right there. Oh yeah, I definitely like that for sure. It's a very action-y, you know, blowing in the breeze sort of action shot look to it, and I dig it. This this. I like that more than the other one. And then faceplate. So her face on there is just sort of a frowny, sort of, you know, firm face. She does have a slightly, I don't know, happier face, I guess you could say. About the same eyes, but definitely relaxed and definitely a little more sort of content in the world. And then she also does have an angry face. So the angular eyes and her mouth is open, you know, grimacing, yelling or something like that. All right, and that's what she looks like with the angry head sort of in the face. And again, you just pop the hair off and then the face pops right off pretty easily. That's how you sort of change the faces. And it's, you know, it's a pretty good system. Obviously, they do this for a lot of their figures, I'm sure. Again, this is my first Figma, so, you know, it's new to me, but it looks awesome. I especially love the windswept hair right here. So next up, we'll talk about hands. So obviously, she comes with punching hands on her arms out of the box, because you gotta punch things. Obviously, you know, it's got that black glove. Her fingers are, you know, painted on there. Obviously, they're, you know, just bare fingers. I know she's a robot. They're not like human fingers. But, you know, everyone's got to have some punching hands. And even articulation on the hands is very smooth and very easy. Be careful taking the hands out. This peg needs to stay in there for the other hands, but this hand, when I took it out, it took the peg too. And she does come with a replacement peg. I guess that's what this is in case you break it, because, I don't know, maybe it's fragile. All right, it took me a little bit to get the peg out of the hand, but again, just you want to keep the pegs in there because the hands obviously comes with a lot of hands, and maybe all Figmas come with this. I don't know, but she comes with a lot of hands, and they come with the stand right here. So obviously there's no pegs in here, right? So that's why you got to keep the pegs on the hand. All right, first set of hands is just a sprawled out set of hands, just a plain, you know, for some action shots or something like that. Again, black gloves with the cutout fingers, looks really nice. The sculpt work is really good. She's got to have trigger finger hands. Obviously, you know, she's detective. So she has guns. Obviously, she comes with guns, and she's got to have trigger finger hands. So trigger finger hands right there. Same black gloves, same finger cutouts. Looking good. Now this pair of hands, the hands come in pairs on the stand, matching pair hands, but these ones are actually different. So I wonder, I think this one is for holding the bigger gun. She comes with two guns, which we'll see in a second, a handgun and a bigger gun. This is probably the trigger finger for the bigger gun. That way this hand is sculpted to sort of hold it on the bottom, if that makes sense, which we'll see in a second when I get the gun. But I would assume that that's what this pair of hands is for. All right, and the last set of hands look like just holding hands. They're not trigger finger hands. They're just holding hands. She's got nothing to hold though. Like, she's got guns. All she has is two guns, which she has trigger finger hands for. But these are like, you know, just generic sort of holding hands if you want to have her hold something. All right, she comes with two guns. So here's the handgun with the trigger finger hand for the handgun. So the smaller trigger finger hand fits right in there, and it looks good. There's no, you know, paint details or anything, but it fits right in there. Obviously, you know, I'm sure this is modeled from the show of some sort. I don't know if I can find a picture or anything of it, but, you know, she's got to have a handgun. She's got a bigger gun too, which we'll look at in a second. So bigger gun comes in two parts. Obviously, you know, this is the main part right here, and it does come with a separate piece that I think just pops on the end just like that. So, you know, it's not necessarily necessary to pop that off, I guess, but, you know, it looks good. And again, I'm sure it's from the show. I'm watching the show right now. I don't know if it's from the show. I'm sure it's from the show, but I gotta watch the show. And the bigger trigger finger hand definitely is for this gun, because this gun is actually really awkward. It looks so awkward, but this hand fits sort of perfectly right in there. You see the thumb, you know, the index finger, pointer finger, all these things are all, you know, right in there like that. So I would probably put the hand on it before you put it on her. That's how she holds the gun. That's why they needed a special second hand for it, because this gun is so funky. There's the gun in her hand. And like I said, the other matching hand is sort of just a holding hand. You could probably hold the gun on the bottom, you know, on the top. In your posing however you want to pose it. But again, it fits really good in there, and the gun looks really nice. Like, it'd be pretty awesome if it had like a blast effect or something like that. But, you know, other than that, it looks pretty good. It looks pretty awesome. And then the last thing, she comes with a stand, and obviously all Figmas that I know of come with stands. So I don't have a lot of stands in my collection. I don't have a super huge collection, but so this is my first Figma stand. So let's see how it does, because she does, you know, she does have that peg hole right on the back right there. And obviously that's for the stand, so you can get, you know, jumping poses. Obviously this is not a jumping pose. This is not one that I like, okay? But this is just an example of a jumping pose. All right, so that is my first look at my first Figma figure ever. The Kusanagi Matoko S.A.C version, standalone complex, Ghost in the Shell. Again, I love Ghost in the Shell, one of my favorite animes of all time, and mangas too, the original manga. And I don't know, it's my first Figma, and other than my bootleg one, which let's not talk about anymore. So I'm pretty impressed. I like the ball joints, they're very smooth. The articulation was very, very smooth and firm. There's no soft joints, even though I'm not used to, you know, the ball joints of some of these Japanese figures. I really like the finish, the glossy finish on the jacket and the pants. And I do love the likeness too. Again, this is one of my favorite anime characters though, so take my love for her with a grain of salt maybe. But I did also learn that Figmas come with bags and stands, all of them do, so that's a pretty cool touch. Comes with a backup wrist peg if you break your wrist peg. Multiple faces, multiple hairstyles. If all the Figmas come with this much stuff, then they're definitely pretty cool. Maybe I'll look into getting maybe a couple more in the future. Let's see if I can find a non-bootleg Ryoko from Kill La Kill for a good price. I doubt it. So what do you think about Figma figures? Let me know down below. Do you collect imports or just, you know, non-imports like I do? Or should I keep looking at Figma? Should I look to get a little bit more? Scale's a little small again for my tastes, but I'm pretty impressed by the figure. I love the likeness and the posability of it. So guys, gals, non-binary pals, thanks for checking out another FIGURAMA video, and I'll check you out in the next one. Thanks.